Somebody wrote in, when was the moment you knew you belonged, like you were in the right place? And that is an easy one for me because it was I was 26 years old. It was the US Open at Lake Mead. And what was happening was the Bassmaster Tour came to Lake Mead. I'm talking Ray Scott and everybody, Zell Rowland, Denny Brower, Rick Clunn, Mark Davis, you name it. Every pro on the Bass Tour came to Lake Mead. And so what they decided to do was have the US Open right after it to keep a lot of those pros there. They had the Bassmaster event. I wasn't in Bassmaster. I was just this kid out west fishing the Redmans, Colorado River Division, Lake Mojave, Lake Mead, anywhere that there was a tournament up in Northern California, all the small West Coast bass, Western Outdoor News bass, or One Bass, or US Bass, these smaller circuits that were West Coast oriented. And so Bassmaster is at Lake Mead. I'm going there, and it was held in a casino. So I'm at the casino getting everybody's autographs. On the speaker, they're saying, Roland Martin, please pick up the courtesy phone. Roland Martin, please pick up the courtesy phone. Or Jimmy Houston, or like I said, you name it, Rick Clunn, Zell Rowland, all the pros. Everybody as a kid that I worshiped and idolized as being the top brass of fishing. But they all stayed for the US Open, and I was fishing that US Open. So long story that I'm going to tell on the YouTube channel. I'm not going to go into all of it, but it's a great story because there's so much more to it than what I'm going to tell you right here. But ultimately, it was a bed fishing tournament. It was in the spring. The only time the US Open was in the spring. And I had the whole lake to myself when it came to bed fishing. Like, I didn't think anybody else was really in. During the Bassmaster event, I'm running down the bank looking at all these fish going, where is everybody? Like, why are my idols not fishing for these fish? So I'm finding bedfish in all these places, and I'm like, is anybody not looking at all these fish? And I see David Fritz out there throwing a Poe's crankbait, and I see Zell Rowland maybe fishing his Pop-R, and all the guys, I see all the Bassmaster guys, and I knew my moment came when I went out and I won the US Open. And let me tell you how much of a landslide it was. Going into the last day of that US Open, I had a 3-pound lead over second place. And I'm talking everybody that I idolized in tournament fishing is the who's who on the leaderboard, and all my friends on the leaderboard, and all of us are looking at it, and I got a 3-pound lead, and John Murray comes up to me, he says, if you catch 5 today, you're gonna win. And I laughed, I said, John, I can catch 5 today. And he goes, for sure. I go, I got whole islands full of bedfish that nobody's been on. I don't even see a boat on the island, let alone all the bedfish that are bedding on this islands out in the middle of the lower basin. So I won that tournament, and 26 years old, I was the youngest guy to win the US Open at that time. And that's when I knew my time had come, because I beat everybody whose autograph, everybody who signed my hat, everybody I looked up to, all of my idols, all the legends of the sport that stayed and fished that tournament after the BASS event. And I beat them all. And yeah, that was truly the moment I realized I can do this. I can do this on the big leagues, because as much as I was, I was a fanboy. I was a fanboy at registration. I'm a fanboy at Blast Off. I'm a fanboy. I'm just in awe of the fact that everybody's out there, and then I win the thing, hands down win it. So I appreciate that question. That's when I knew I had found my niche and I was going to be a pro.